Yeah, this is like a slightly modified resynthesizer. So instead of double maths, it's multimod and jumbler. Instead of morphogene, it's an XPO. Instead of XPAN, it's QXG. Um, yeah, the bottom row is exactly the same once the mimeophone is in. And then we've got, there's some more modulation, some jumbling, an additional oscillator. And the QXG gives me 4 VCAs instead of 3 on the XPAN, also with some stereo. So I figured that was a good swap. My previous exploration with Eurorack was mostly focused around tape and microsound system, also make noise. I found myself kind of gravitating towards, obviously sampled sounds with the morphogene, and not really like oscillators or VCAs much. It was more about like time stretching and big reverbs and delays and stuff. This system is more focused about like stacking a bunch of voices between the VCAs, the QXG, and the DXG, having sync capabilities between the Spectrophone sides and the XPO, and then just really learning how Rene works. It was my first time with it, as well as the modulation and routing with multimod and jumbler. Just taking those sort of NUS concepts and bringing them to the non-NUS voices. I thought about buying like the multi-wave and the polymaths with the double QXGs, and I decided against that because I felt it was a little too. It kind of stripped away what I thought would be like my natural inclination in Eurorack, which is like stacking modulations, a bunch of different envelopes, and these sort of long changes. Whereas the NUS videos and sort of things that I've seen is it's more like, for lack of a better phrase, it's a fancy arpeggiator, which I know is incorrect in application, but that's just what I am exposed to. I'm sure I'll have a different opinion if I do try them, but I really wanted to try Spectrophone, particularly for the spectral aspects of it, and resynthesizing like vocoder style sounds. I haven't really messed with SAM mode too much. I'm more using it as oscillator in the main modes and the noise and chaos modes. But yeah. Today's just kind of like, I'll tear this down. This patch, I've recorded enough audio with it, I think, to be satisfied. But just to give it overlay without getting too complicated, we got XPO on the the PWM mode stereo. That's going into the first channel of QXG. And just for reference, the main envelope is this left channel of maths. This triggered envelope that's coming from the X gate of Rene. So that's controlling the envelopes for all of the VCAs. Right, so we got 2 going to DXG, 2 for QXG. I believe it goes somewhere else, but that's in the mult. So these different voices are different sort of timbres. It's all the same pitch. So I'm taking the X CV out and sending that to the bus, and then that's going to the main Spectrophone voice and the XPO voice, and then I have it set to the B side is following the A side, and then XPO is also synced to Spectrophone, just to make sure everything's in tandem. There's no weird pitches from the different oscillators. And then we just got the 4 voices, basically. So we have the PWM mode. We have the B side of the Spectrophone in Chaos. This is more like a drum kind of cymbal-y sound on the second channel of DXG. Then we have 2 channels of QXG. We have one from the A side of Spectrophone. This is in the main oscillator mode. And then we have a vary timbre, I think. I forget the difference between these two. But the right side going into the second channel. And again, all these envelopes, these 4, are all coming from that left's maths. So that's the voices. Obviously, Renee is handling the CV for the pitches as well as the gate to the envelope. That's being clocked by Tempe. That's pretty classic. I have these set to leader follower using the select bus. Then I got a bunch of modulation, mostly coming from Multimod and Jumbler. So Jumbler is sending a bunch of CV all over the place to modulate the timbre of the XBO and Spectrophone as well as the filter. That's coming from different sources, mostly the purple LFO, which is the I forget how it's described, but it's kind of like a weird sign, a wonky sign, as well as some Woggle CV, and then some envelope, or no, this isn't the envelope. This is a LFO on the B side, this CV out. That's one of the inputs. And Jumbler basically takes the inputs, routes them to the outputs based on how much you're rotating and radiating. So that's being modulated by Multimod. And then we've got this right side maths providing like a gate sequence to give us like a drum kind of rhythm pattern. So that's being cycled by a fast Tempe channel. That's going to be like the plucky sounds. And then that all gets routed to the filter, as well as one of the Jumbler channel inputs from the main envelope. So that's that. Yeah, we're just going to listen to it, and then I'll tear it down and I'll do a different patch. So I'll start with each channel individually. So there's nothing going on right now. So we'll do the pulse width. So that's that. You can hear the different modulation rotating the PWN across the stereo field. We also got this LFO modulation of the panning on QXG. Well, sorry, that's not affecting this, but it will affect the other 2 voices. Now we're going to bring in the chaos mode. So So it's got the FM on, coming from the left side. So we get the sort of like noise. If I close down on the shape, we get that more plucky. And one extra thing here is I have a gate out from the Y channel going to the both inputs. So if I put a bunch of channels on, it's going to force it to be more plucky rather than being open. Obviously, I can change the shape. Right, but it's going to modulate these two rise and fall parameters every step, right? But if I open it, it's going to go through the whole cycle of the envelope. So if I change the right channel, this is going into jumbler, right? So that's going to modulate the inputs, right? So we're going to get this, it's going to affect the filter mostly, as well as the timbre of the oscillators. That's also mixed, so that's coming from the sum output. So that's mixed with a, just offset CV, as well as one of the LFOs from Multimod. That is coming from, again, the fast Tempi channel, that trigger. So with these controls, I can affect, the overall sort of modulation identity of the jumbler going around. Also, to sort of mimic what I would be doing with Lineophone, I have a delay off to the side with my Zoya. So if you're hearing that delay reverb effect, basically what I would be doing anyway. So that's those two voices. We'll turn those off. And then we've got the SAO mode spectrophone. As well as one of the very timbres on XBO. That gets mixed around the stereo field with this spread control that's coming from LFO on Multimod. And then we have some QPOS action with the filter and the resonance and stereo processing. We're in bandpass mode here. This gives it a little extra character, I think. So that's all four voices active. Again, it's the same envelope. So if we turn that gate pattern on, you'll get that really plucky character. What gets really interesting is when we start messing with the Multimod and Jumbler controls, because they're sort of paired together, influencing and changing how the LFOs are working, as well as how it's moving the modulation around. First obvious thing is changing the speed. I turn off the gate pattern. See, it's obviously moving a lot faster, so we're getting stereo motion, we're getting filter motion, some oscillator timbre changes. So I can change the snake pattern here or the quantization to give it some variance. I got some exponential FM going into XPO from one of the jumbler outs. And obviously, as I change the speed, then the LFOs are going to react differently with the spread. I've got some envelope going into there, so you get that extra plucky behavior. So this exponential is nice because I can kind of change the tonality to darker or brighter for the 3 voices, for the 2 for the XPO. So there's this, it's a complicated relationship. It's hard to sort of describe without going into each individual connection. But I think this combination is, in my opinion, a lot better than having the 2 maths from a resynthesizer system. Plus it's the same HP, the 10 and 10 versus the maths 20. So it fits, which is nice. Yeah, it's a fun little patch. Basically does everything with the system. Boggleboard just has the 1 CV out. I'm not using press point right now. I need more cables, actually. But if I were to do press point here, it'd probably be ways to affect the envelope on maths, maybe the rise, or maybe the empty 3 channel. But we'll see once I get some more cables.